Welcome to the Life School Masterclass Show, where 6 and 7-figure CEOs build their purpose-driven legacy businesses through proven branding, marketing, and sales strategies so that they don't have to sacrifice their income and happiness for their mission. Thanks for watching the Life School Masterclass Show. Join our Facebook group community of badass mission-driven entrepreneurs, and come back next week same place and time for our upcoming show.
Hello, purpose-driven entrepreneurs. Welcome back to another show. I'm so excited to be with you again on a beautiful Thursday. I hope you're doing well. I'm back with another amazing conversation and guest from our community, and I'm so excited to introduce her to you shortly. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone of our amazing event happening on September 19, 7 days to building a legacy business. And you'll have the links right underneath our show so that you can join me there for 7 days of amazing journey in learning everything you need to know through the foundational framework of branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team. So back to our show. I am here today with Angeline Constantinu. I think I said it correctly. Hello, Angeline. Thanks so much for being our show today. I'm so excited to come here and learn more regarding all your amazing work that I'm sure you're doing in the world. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elona. Elona, right? That's how you pronounce your first name?
Elona. I was just saying that we have so much fun with names. That's the diversity I love.
I love the diversity, and I'm blessed. I'm truly humbled and blessed to be a special guest on your podcast show today, the Life School Masterclass Show, because I know we've been connected on Facebook for a while, and it's such a blessing because this is the power of the internet. The power of the internet is to connect with each other, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I mean, that's the power. That's the whole power of the internet. So I'm blessed to be here. And yeah, I'm excited to share my story. Excited to share my story of how I broke the silence on domestic abuse.
And that's exactly what we'll dive right into. And just to piggy off of what you just said with the amazing power of the internet, I love that I get to meet people virtually, especially people that have been in my community, my audience, my network, and just get to really know them a little bit better, and also give value to the community through the work that they're actually doing. So we are definitely blessed to have these new platforms that we can reach people and impact other people. So absolutely, let's break the silence is going to be our topic today. So let's start with an introduction. Angeline, tell us a little bit more regarding your journey, I guess some of the most meaningful parts that you feel you want to share with us that really led you to the work you're doing today.
Sure, absolutely. So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in from. So my name is Angeline Constantinu. So I am a founder and podcaster of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And my podcast focuses on helping women amplify their voice and helping them regain their power after domestic abuse. These are real life stories of women who have shared their transition out of domestic abuse. And it's not easy to share your story, and I will tell you why in 1 minute, okay? So about 12 years ago, actually 12 and a half years ago, I found myself in a very bad place. I had lost my corporate job. I had lost my sense of self-worth. I was married to the person who I thought was going to be the love of my life, and that obviously didn't pan out. He turned out to, you don't realize it right away, but he was and he still is a narcissist. In 1999, we had gotten married at the Justice of the Peace in 1988 in the Hudson Valley of New York State. So if anyone is familiar with Rhinebeck, New York, that's where I used to live. So, make a long story short, I worked in this business. People thought that we were the Hollywood couple. And then in 1999, in December, I was lying in my bed covered in a robe and I was crying. I was really, really upset because he was insulting and demeaning me. And, you don't realize it at the time, you know, but it got so bad that I decided to get up. I said, I just need to go into the other room and just chill out, like because we had a guest room. And unfortunately, I did not make it into the guest room. He took me, I heard him get up from the bed and he took me by the neck and he threw me against the wall near the bathroom. And I ended up falling backwards and I was bleeding and I was bruised. I was totally bruised and I was crying. I was lying flat on my back and I was like, what do I do now? It was a moment and I literally thought that I was going to die that night, but I looked up to the ceiling and I turned to God and God saved me. And ironically, which is not unusual, he took me to the emergency room. So the hospital was 10 minutes away. He took me to the emergency room and I was there all night. I was hooked up on IV and everything. And finally, I had to have reconstructive nose surgery. The surgeon came out, and fortunately, he was there, and he said, "You're going to need reconstructive nose surgery." So a couple days later, I had reconstructive nose surgery, and I was bandaged up for 2 weeks. But I didn't. I was so afraid to share my story then because it's a vicious cycle. So things will be good for 2 weeks and then things will fall apart. So the next 9 years, you know, um, I'm going to say that it was like up and down, peaks and valleys. There were peaks and valleys. But later on, when he retired from his business, I decided to work in corporate America, and this was around 2007. So I went out to work in corporate America and made a name for myself. At that time, I didn't know anything about the online space or Facebook. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and stay home and hear him complain. I'm just going to go out. So that's what I did. I went out to work in corporate America, and that I made a lot of friends. I created a network for myself, like sort of like a safe haven. It was a support system, but that made him more jealous and resentful. And then in 2008, we lost money in the stock market. We lost over $200,000 of our savings because he made a bad investment. Really,
Mhm.
really bad.
Can I just intervene in part of the story? Wow, I can't imagine what you've been through, but you still stayed with him, sounds like, after so many years.
I did,
You are picking
unfortunately,
up. Why do you think that is?
because the main reason is because we feel ashamed. That
Mm,
was the whole thing. We feel ashamed to share our story. I was afraid. I mean, literally, I was afraid. I was afraid that the police were going to make fun of me, the judge, and
mm,
everything. But finally, I drew a line in the sand. And in 2010 in May of 2010, I decided to file for divorce. I had gone for counseling, um, and I went for therapy, but I realized one thing, that I deserve to live a better life. So this is what, so I had to take ownership. I had to take ownership of my life and admit it and stop playing the victim. And
yeah.
so that's when my journey started. So I had the courage. So you ready for this? So I had the courage to drive down to Poughkeepsie, New York. My lawyer was there. I paid her $5,000 to start the proceedings out of my savings, whatever I had left. And I made a trip to Saratoga Springs, New York, where I now live. Not, I live on the other side of town now. But I made a plan, and I earned the respect from the authorities, the police, the New York State Police, and the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. So they knew exactly where I was going. And I made a plan. I had a protective order against him. So I was living like a gypsy for 1 year. I was sleeping in people's couches. I would stay in motel rooms. I was hardly ever home, even though I moved all my stuff upstairs and he was downstairs. We had a 4-bedroom cape. It was hard for me. It was hard for me to go back, and stay there. So I had to make a plan. So I wasn't working. I had worked for a company and I lost my job because he decided to disconnect my internet. So it was a struggle, but your struggles lead to strength. So during that time, I started to invest in myself, invest in personal development, growth. I had joined a health and wellness company that I was super passionate about. And that changed my life because I surrounded myself with like-minded people who were, on that path of personal development, if that makes sense, and growth, because I wanted to grow. I had that passion, to grow and to invest in myself so I could make an impact on other people's lives, which I am doing today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Angelina.
it's been quite so 1 year later, I moved to Saratoga Springs, New York. I manifested. I did a lot of praying. I turned to God for guidance because God is at the center of my life and he is the higher power, for myself. And I really, and I just decided to do it. You just wake up one day and you say you're just going to do it and not get stuck in this analysis paralysis thing. I just did it.
Yeah, amazing. And that's exactly what I was going to ask you, the question I asked before. If there are women in these types of relationships, what would you say to them? I know that you've had your journey with that, and now you're helping your clients through, I'm sure, similar situations that they might be involved in, or other women. What would you say to someone that is living with that, to break away from that and to start refinding their voice and break the silence, as you said, and not to be ashamed to take power back, and even if they have to rebuild their life from zero, pretty much just like you've done?
I had to rebuild my life from zero. So there are resources out there. So in fact, during my transition, during this transitory period, however you want to call it, transition period, there are resources out there. I had a caseworker working with me for 1 year. So there are I never went to a shelter, but there are, domestic violence shelters out there who will offer support, education. In Saratoga Springs, where I live up here, we have an organization called Wellspring of Saratoga. So for a woman who needs a place to stay, they offer that. And they also offer education. They have live events. I've been to I've been to a few live events of theirs. So they support women. So find an outlet, find a support system. Now, like myself, I had joined this health and wellness company that I was super passionate about. And, I still am today. Surround yourself with leaders, get yourself out there, because what was missing for me was having an outlet. I didn't have an outlet, prior to the marriage. It was all about him. It was all about him. And, so get yourself out there. And that's when I started Facebook. I think I joined Facebook in 2009, but I wasn't that active, but I knew that I needed a network of support. So
Get yourself an outlet. I think that's really important advice that you just gave there, because a lot of times I have also come across some of this in my personal journey. As women, we put all our focus into our relationships, our children, all the things that we do with that for other people. And we actually need to have something that we do for ourselves, so that when the time comes, if you do need to rely on that and you have grown yourself, you've invested in yourself alongside, you'll be in much better position, not only financially but also emotionally. Because I do know that for people that are going through abuse, a lot of the challenge that they're going through is very emotional many times, not so much
Exactly.
financial. But when the two collide, obviously, it's tougher. But I love that you mentioned all those resources for women that might be going through something similar and might not have the financial resources or even the support of other people around them that can help them to come out of that type of toxic situation, toxic relationship. And
Exactly.
Janine, tell me a little bit more regarding the work that you do with women today in helping them break their silence. What does that look like?
Okay. So I have a 90-day one-on-one coaching program. So I take women from a place of, I would say, playing the victim. So I take them on a path of rediscovery and taking ownership of their lives. So I have workbooks. I talk about manifestations. We do journaling every single day because journaling is very important. Meditation. We do a lot of heavy mindset work, peeling, if that makes sense, peeling the layers. So I help women peel off those layers because a lot of them are feeling stuck and they don't know what to do. I mean, okay, they're out of domestic abuse. They've transitioned out of domestic abuse, but what do I do? What do I do? So I take them through 9 steps to creating the life that they truly deserve to live and taking ownership and taking them on a path of rediscovery, because that's really important for women to do that. And that's something that I had to learn. That's something that I learned. So I take them on a path of rediscovery. I give them tools. We do live one-on-one coaching sessions. So it's for 12 weeks, one-on-one via Zoom. They have a workbook. They have videos too, where they can do, meditation, journaling, because journaling is an important component. Journaling your thoughts and feelings every single day. Journal gratitude. I focus a lot, as you know, on gratitude. Focus on your blessings and not your problems. So I take them. So whatever I've learned from my journey, I have incorporated that, into my one-on-one coaching program. And the ladies, and this is for women, this is for divorced women, this is for single moms too, who are looking to find a path, the correct path to take, because they need help. They need help, they
Absolutely.
need coaching. Um, they need coaching. I give them personal development tools, but I give them the tools that they need in order to take ownership of their lives. So it's a 3-month program. So I say it's 90 days, 12 weekly live Zoom sessions. And I also have a private Facebook group, which is free. And I give them lots of tools. And I'm going to be restarting my master classes next month in October, because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I am going to be restarting that. So life is too short. Okay. This is my message. Life is too short. God has given us special gifts, and we should be sharing our gifts with the world. And there's too many women out there who have been beaten down to the ground. They've been beaten down to the ground, and they need to, I mean, if I can work my way back to, coaching, who knew I was going to be a coach, a transformational life coach. And I've also, I'm going to be taking my ACLU very soon, which I'm really super excited about. So a lot of things have opened up for me, because when you do manifestations and prayers, the world of abundance starts to open up. And the world of things. So I teach them about the law of attraction. So when you put good out there to the universe, it comes back to you twofold. It's a question of attracting the right people. Now, I realized during my transition that, I had to level up and surround myself with the right people, because there are women out there who are not attracting the right people. I take them on a self-love journey, learning to love yourself, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You must love yourself before you can love others.
Absolutely. And I bet those are the 9 steps that you walk women through.
Right.
You have a bunch of tools that you give and so much support for anyone that's looking, I would say, to refine their light or their path, and to also rebuild sometimes, as we're saying in these situations, from, I never want to say zero, but from experience, because we have life experience. So we do rebuild
Right.
stronger with with people that can support them, like yourself. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
those are beautiful things. And Angelina, I always like to ask, what do you think makes you different from someone else that might be offering the same services that you are?
Okay, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel what makes me stand out is I offer, this is real and genuine coaching. So it's not the cookie cutter approach. Um, I last year I made a huge investment in my branding with a life business coach. So my branding is very strong. And, my goal is to help women break their silence. So I haven't seen anything else out there. Um, and plus the fact that I don't hide behind the computer. Okay. If someone lives locally, I will go visit them and I will do a coaching session, but mainly my coaching sessions are one-on-one. You have me exclusively. There's not someone else who is coaching. That person. It's just me. And I keep it real and genuine. I'm very real, raw, and vulnerable. And I know that 3 years ago, I had to take an intensive with my mentor at that time. And he made me realize that I had to be real, raw, and vulnerable in sharing my story with the world. So I said I could do that, no problem. And that's why I've had my podcast for 2.5 years, and I'm proud to say that, I've been guests on other podcast shows, and there are people reaching out to me because they want to be, they want to be a guest on my show so they can share their stories. There's just so much out there, and I'm going to be, um, I'm going to be offering online work, not online workshops, but offline events, because offline events are going to, bring more people. So that's really going to stand out for myself. And I'm going to be also writing my book too. So there's a lot that I am, working on right now. Everything is in the works behind the scenes. I'm also going to be collaborating with a really nice woman. She produced her own film, and it took her 3.5 years. So I've been invited to a live event and showcasing her film, and I've been learning a lot about the film and entertainment industry. So I'm going to be producing my own documentary about my life and my journey
Wow.
thriving after domestic abuse, sharing my real life story. And that means, going back. That means, just part of it is, reliving my story. But I want my story, I know through my podcast and my coaching, has made a huge impact on other women. But the film is really going to do it. The film is really going to make a huge impact. So it's just,
I
I'm going to
love
be,
it. You have
yeah.
so many things.
I know. I love to talk about my journey, as you can tell. But
And
It's
that's exactly
important.
what I was going to say when we talk about our, X factor or, authenticity factor, or what makes us different. What makes you different is also your journey, your personality, your life experience, right? So that
Right.
absolutely attracts the right type of people that you can help as well. So that's really always why I personally also think there is no competition. It's all authenticity. So the more you stand in your power, the more you take action and you make an impact through all these things you're creating, the more momentum you'll have, and you will be increasing your brand, which is so important to make a big impact, right? So that you can stand out from the crowd, not so much stand out within your authenticity, right? Because that's already yours. You already have that. Your journey does not change. You have, learned the lessons that you have learned, and now your mission vision to make an impact is the one that you just mentioned throughout the interview. So I want to thank you for everything you shared with us. The story is so inspiring. Keep sharing that in as many platforms as you possibly can. I'm sure there's people that need to hear it at a certain point in time. And I want to ask you, where is it that people can follow along the journey with you from my community, so that they can get access to the resources that you have available, but also follow you along and see all these amazing things that you're up to?
Sure. Okay, they can go to my website, letsbreakthesilence.com, and there is a book now button. So they can book a call with me, and we will have a 30-minute session to see if we are a good fit to work together. So that's the easiest thing to do, is just to go to my website. My podcast is there in the about section. There's a brief bio about myself, and I share my journey. My podcast can be found on Anchor. It's all there on the website. So they can find me on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple. And, I would love people to like and subscribe to my podcast, give it a rating, so we can, boost it and make more of an impact
All
on
right.
women's, because our
Absolutely.
stories need to be heard. That's the bottom line. Our stories need to be heard.
Absolutely. There's a reason why we've been through them. So now we want to share them with other people because of the help that we could give them. Thank you so much, Angeline. We've actually reached the end of our show. The website is on the screen, letsbreakthesilence.com. And thanks so much for sharing everything that you did. And looking forward to maybe having you back on our show. We could really
Yeah.
dive into a deeper topic. It may be one of the 9 steps that you teach women. I'm sure each one of those has its own information that we could unravel and dive in deeper. So thanks so much for this amazing impact. And I will see you guys next week, or tomorrow. Actually, I might have another show tomorrow with another amazing guest. So keep an eye out. And also the show is available as a podcast at all the major podcast platforms. And don't forget to join me in my event September 19, where you will walk away with an amazing education in growing your business to legacy. Thanks so much. Bye for now. Bye,
Bye,
Angeline.
everyone. Thank you.